So in looking at this system of inequalities, this is a perfect example of when we look at our triple T document and we say in step one, don't look at the answer options right away, they'll only confuse you. However, it can be helpful to look at the answer format. And this is an example where looking at the answer format can be very useful because we see that we have a system of inequalities, definitely. We also see that the shading is in different places, but we do see that the point of intersection of these lines is identical, right? So it's not a matter of figuring out which one is graphing the line correctly. They're all graphing them correctly. So what's the difference? It's simply where is the shading. So that's what we're going to dial in on. So the easier of the two inequalities to look at, in my opinion, is this bottom one because it's already in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. And I'll recognize that when I look at all these options, notice you have one line that has a positive slope, and then you have another line that has a negative slope. Since this one already is clearly a negative slope, I know that they're referring to this line. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for process of elimination. We know that the shading should be in the downward direction. So let's eliminate any of them where the shading is actually in the upward direction. So notice in option A, the shading is above this line with the negative slope, so we could eliminate it. And same thing in option B, the shading is above the line, so we could eliminate it. We're only looking at options C and D now, where the shading is below the line. So to determine which one's the right answer, we now have to look at this other linear inequality. So let's go ahead and get y by itself. That way it's in slope-intercept form. And to do so, we know we have to bring the x to the other side by subtracting it over. And here's the part where a lot of people will make a mistake. To get y by itself, we have to divide by the -1. And whenever you do so, more specifically, whenever you multiply or divide by a negative, it flips the inequality symbol. And two negatives make a positive. So now we have our equation. But the most significant part was recognizing that the inequality symbol is now less than or equal to, which means the shading should be in the downward direction from that line with a positive slope. So we're down to options C and D, like we said. From this line, we want to be going in the downward direction. Well, this shading is above this line. In this system, however, down here, I know I'm getting a lot of scribbling, the shading is in the downward direction, which is what we're looking for. So the correct answer is D.